see, since Clearwater and Largo are in the same district, Largo, one of them is going to finish a 5 seed. So that'll be a second round thing because I'm gonna assume, it's a big assumption, but I'm going to assume that Columbia wins their district. I'm also going to assume that Mainland wins their district. So, those teams would not be playing until regional finals. But, you're going to get Clearwater and Largo probably in round 2. So one of those two teams are going to knock each other out. Then we're going to have to pay attention to Lake Gibson. So officially, I would say in the state semis, give me Miami Central, and let's go. I'm a little bit of a betting man, so give me Miami Central and give me Braden River.
That's a pretty good bet. I would take that one.
And then in the North, give me, just because I'm a little contrarian, give me for the right to go to the finals, give me Mainland and Largo, and it'll be a Mainland Miami Central final.
Okay, I would assume that's gonna be most people's picks. If I was looking around,
how I'm a lifelong DeLand Bulldog hunter. Me saying nice things about Mainland Buccaneers, that makes a man's skin crawl. So if I'm high on Mainland, it's because I feel justified in being high on Mainland.
I do expect Mainland to be our toughest test in Region 1. So I can't blame that pick, honestly. I also think Bell and Jesuit, they could be a dark horse, honestly, in my opinion. It's just that
I like that.
It's a gut feeling with them, but I just feel like that's a good pick for a dark horse right now.
Yeah, I like that. I don't think you're not really straying away from conventionality at that point with that.
All right. With 6A down, let's move on to 7A, which had Lakeland defeating St. Thomas Aquinas in the finals last year. And what do you know? A classification that we actually have a potential rematch could be on deck.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in Class 7A. And I'll tell you what, you could probably throw darts at the board in Region 1. I started with the first two classes. I started with Region 4. I'm going to start with Region 1 here. Excuse me. So you could probably throw a dart and come up with all kinds of playoff contenders. And so I've got no shortage of 8 teams that I think could really kind of be in the mix here. And I know I'm going to get proven wrong by a few of them, for lack of a better description. But Lincoln, Leon, Niceville, Navarre, Fletcher, Buchholz, Edgewater, and Kaiva are my 8 teams in Region 1. Region 2, things get very, very interesting. Region 2, personally, I believe whoever wins Region 2 are definitely going to the state finals, if not your state champion.
I can agree with that.
And here's why. In Region 2, I'm going with Vieira. I'm going with Plant City, Lakeland, Armwood, Tampa Bay Tech. That's 5. Kathleen, Winter Haven, and Bloomingdale. I
got 8 of those as well on mine.
So those are my 8 teams coming out of Region 2. So through process of elimination, again, Lakeland, depending on how Lakeland and Armwood finish, the smart money has to be that the way this is probably going to look is Armwood, because Lakeland's schedule is just a tick under Armwood's schedule, because Armwood's got some loaded teams on their schedule. They've got Plant and North Gwinnett on their schedule, and Tampa Bay Tech to keep them afloat. Those teams are going to have great winning percentages in and of themselves. So the way it's probably going to look in this one is that you're going to have Lakeland, Armwood, Vieira. In fact, Vieira may Armwood, Lakeland, Vieira. In fact, Vieira may slip ahead of Lakeland in terms of their schedule at the end of the day. So my prediction could see Armwood, Vieira, Lakeland, Winter Haven as your top four, in there. And so your 5 through 8 could be one of any: Tampa Bay Tech, Plant City, Bloomingdale, Kathleen. So good luck with that. That region is going to soften themselves up for Region 1, and then if you have a higher seed that just so happens to be located in the Big Bend or Panhandle, that could be the time to strike. Because you could see Armwood or Lakeland having to go all the way, up there if there is a team with better seeding, with better point values ahead of them. And those 8 that I mentioned, Wekiva, Edgewater, Buchholz, Fletcher, Navarre, Niceville, Leon, Lincoln, could all end up sneaking in with better point averages, again, because I don't like Lakeland's schedule from a point, in terms of the percentage values. You look at Region 3, we've got a super fun district in our backyard here, my backyard. Pinellas Park, Sun Lake Mitchell, East Lake Sickles. Unfortunately, Lato is in that district, and, we've seen Lato not win for several years now, not win a single game. So we've got, we would hope that they could somehow get it together and maybe sneak out a win there. But in that region, I like the 8 teams that I like in that region, and unfortunately, we're going to have a district winner in District 11, which is Lehigh, Riverdale, Northport, Gulf Coast. That one is going to actually, if you look at the other districts in 7A Region 3, that one's going to work negatively against a really, really good team come playoff time. Because I don't think any of those 4 teams, Lehigh, Riverdale, Northport, Gulf Coast, are good enough to go toe-to-toe with the likes of a Pinellas Park, a Mitchell, Eastlake, Manatee, or a Venice, or a Dwyer. So I have those 6 teams, plus I like Lehigh to sneak out that district. So that would be in there. You might see a team, you could very well see a team like Sickles or Sarasota come in and sneak in the back door to make 8. But really the head and shoulders cream of the crop in Region 3 is Venice and everybody else. They've got Manatee in the district, but they should win that game. And so for the region finals, I think you could see Venice and either Venice and Dwyer or Venice and Eastlake, or maybe even a Mitchell or Pinellas Park. Pinellas Park lost their quarterback, but they tend to run a triple option dominated offense. So down in Region 4, Atlantic Delray Beach, they're the new guys on the block. They've traditionally been pretty strong in the last couple of years. I'd like to see what Blanche Ely has. I still need to see a little bit more out of there. You've obviously got the 2-ton elephant in St. Thomas Aquinas. You've got Miramar. You've got an emerging team in MacArthur, who I think could make some noise down there.
I agree with that pick.
And Doral, I think, could make a little bit of noise in District 16. I like what they're doing. I think District 15 is likely to be the one to get 2 teams in, with MacArthur and Miramar being the representation in that. So I can see 7 clear-cut teams in that region. 4, Blanche Ely, Atlantic, Aquinas, MacArthur, Miramar, and Doral. And then you've got a wild card in there for the 8th team. Now, say all that to say this: I can't wait for it to be Lakeland versus St. Thomas Aquinas.
Okay. I will. I'll take that Lakeland versus St. Thomas Aquinas pick. Though I will go ahead and go on the record and say I would not be completely stunned if St. Thomas Aquinas loses before making it to the finals. But I will start with Region 4. Obviously, Atlantic Delray, that's a team that, if they get hot at the right time and maximize potential, I could see them upsetting them. And I'll get the fortune of actually getting to see Atlantic play my team this year. They'll be playing Week 9. Another team, Fort Lauderdale, Plantation, both could be a potential wildcard teams out of District 14. I agree with MacArthur. I could see them, if they get hot at the right time, potentially pulling an upset. Though it probably wouldn't be as likely as Atlantic doing it if they maximize potential. Going to Region 3. They've lost a lot over the offseason. In my opinion, in District 12, my favorite right now is Palm Beach Lakes.
Okay.
Also, Manatee and Venice, that'd probably be the other two teams with Palm Beach Lakes that I think probably would be my top 3 picks in Region 3. Now we move to Region 2. Obviously, Lakeland, Armwood, and Vieira, that's probably the top 3 in that region. And Lakeland, from what they brought back a lot of talent, and they picked up double digits in transfers over the offseason. It's tough to go against them in that region. But I could see the potential upset, like if they had to travel to like somewhere like Armwood. I could see that being a possibility. But if Lakeland finds a way to get the home number 1 seed, I just can't see anyone in that region beating them in Lakeland.
I could see that.
For Region 1, I would say Edgewater would be a very good team that could potentially win it. I can realistically see that. Lincoln, Crestview, Navarre. Niceville, I still have question marks how they're going to be able to adjust to John Hicks retiring. In District 2, I could see Fletcher. Another wild card I'll go with. First Coast could potentially make it as an 8 seed, depending upon how that region breaks down. Then, of course, you got Fleming Island, Creekside, who I don't know if they'll be a playoff team this year. I could see them being a playoff team next year if they can keep their talent in the building. And Buholtz, they're usually a solid team. I still have questions how they're going to replace their best offensive weapon and their quarterback, who both graduated this year. So that remains to be seen. But I would say if I had to pick right now, I'm going to pick Lakeland over St. Thomas Aquinas for my pick in 7A.
Yep, it's amazing how the more things change, the more they stay the same. That's those two teams right now, until proven otherwise, the 2 best teams in Class 7A and potentially the state.
That's actually a pretty fair argument. Lakeland was a team that I had them decided as my number 1 team in the state in mid-June. And that was before they picked up like probably 10 more transfers from that point. So this could be if it wasn't for the rankings not really favoring them because of their schedule, I could see Lakeland being like a top 10 team nationally, not just in the state.
Yeah, they really could spring all the way up to the top. There's a decent chance we could see Lakeland up there because, like I said, their schedule is going to allow them to do. Their schedule is going to allow them to do quite a bit this year. We'll just leave it at that. So, I think that's where Lakeland will be able to potentially separate themselves from the rest of the group, is because they should run through that schedule.
I agree with that. And for 8A, last year we had Mandarin defeating Columbus from Miami. They're both still in 8A. Mandarin did lose quite a bit at some of their positions, but they still returned their starting quarterback, who I believe is the top quarterback in the state in the rankings for the senior class, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
All right. So they return a very good quarterback. Question is, will they have enough replaced at the other positions to get back to the finals? Columbus, very good team. They're having to replace their coach. There's also Deerfield Beach in the south, but the question is, even though they're very talented, will this be the year they finally get through a very tough region, might I add, to get to the finals and potentially win their first state title?
Go ahead. So looking at AA, for me, in Region 1, I see excuse me. Right now,